The setting moves beyond the coffee shop and into Grace's home, a more private, intimate space. This shift is crucial. The coffee shop was public and neutral, where small talk and light connection could flourish safely. Grace's house, quiet and dimly lit with candlelight, introduces a different atmosphere, one of personal history, real emotions, and hidden fears. Grace's home symbolizes her life's responsibilities and burdens, caring for her father after a stroke. It also shows her willingness to let Ethan into her personal space, a sign that their relationship is moving from casual acquaintance toward something deeper. The candlelight is a beautiful detail, softening the room and the tension between them. It's not there to create romance in a cliché way, but to gently illuminate the fragile intimacy growing between two people who have been hurt. Character development. Grace's character shines with maturity and depth in this part. She is not just a woman waiting for love. She is actively balancing family duty, personal healing, and emotional uncertainty. Her invitation to Ethan is significant. It shows trust and a desire to connect beyond the safe confines of the cafe. Yet, her question, "Do you still think about her?" reveals her vulnerability. She's afraid of being just a placeholder in Ethan's heart, a common fear. For anyone entering a relationship after loss, Grace's ability to ask such a direct and painful question indicates emotional courage. It also shows that she wants honesty, not illusions or empty promises. Ethan faces his own internal struggle in this scene. He is forced to confront the lingering presence of his ex-girlfriend, Emily, openly for the first time. His answer is honest and nuanced. "Sometimes. Not because I miss her, just because she took up space in my life for a long time." This line beautifully captures the complex nature of healing. The past isn't something you simply erase. It occupies mental and emotional space, sometimes uninvited. His admission that Grace is giving it back to space. The warmth highlights how she is slowly filling a void, but also that he is aware this is a process, not an instant replacement. Emotional themes. The presence of the past. The ghosts in the title refer to the emotional shadows both characters carry. These past relationships haven't vanished. They influence how Ethan and Grace interact and feel. Fear of being a rebound. Grace's question about whether she is just a temporary comfort is a deeply relatable fear. Many people who start new relationships after heartbreak worry if they are truly loved or just a way to forget someone else. Honesty and vulnerability. The dialogue between them is raw and sincere. They don't sugarcoat their feelings. This openness is both painful and healing. Slow, emotional intimacy. The scene with the forehead touch instead of a kiss is a subtle yet powerful symbol. It shows closeness without rushing into physical intimacy, emphasizing emotional connection over physical attraction. Symbolism and metaphors. The candlelight. Soft candlelight symbolizes hope, warmth, and fragility. It represents the delicate nature of their growing relationship, something that needs care and patience to flourish. The fire that hasn't gone out. The metaphor of fire is revisited. The idea that old feelings and memories can still burn, even when new love is present. It's a reminder that healing takes time, and that both characters are still navigating that space. Relatability and depth. This part of the story taps into very human and universal emotions. The fear of rejection, the complexity of moving on, and the desire for real connection. The way Ethan and Grace interact feels honest because they show imperfections and uncertainties, not just idealized romance. For an audience in the US and Canada, where many adults face complex relationships, career and family responsibilities, and the messages of love after loss, this story hits home. It's not fairy tale perfect. It's genuine and heartfelt. Narrative choices. The author chooses to keep the scene quiet and emotionally rich rather than dramatic. There is no loud confrontation or tearful breakdown, just two people quietly admitting their fears and hopes. The pacing slows down here. allowing readers to breathe with the characters, feel the tension, and savor the moment of connection. The lack of a kiss or a grand romantic gesture makes the intimacy feel more authentic and mature. The emotional cliffhanger. The story ends this part on a soft yet powerful cliffhanger. Grace is awake at 2 a.m., questioning her place in Ethan's life and whether he truly loves her. This moment of doubt and vulnerability keeps the audience emotionally engaged. It's a subtle hook that promises more emotional exploration ahead. Will Grace's fears be realized? Will Ethan be able to fully let go of his past and commit to this new relationship? Can they navigate their ghosts together? Summary Part 3. Ghosts Between Us deepens the emotional complexity of Ethan and Grace's relationship. It brings to the surface the unresolved feelings and fears that come with love after heartbreak. Through a quiet evening in Grace's home. The story explores honesty, vulnerability, and the slow process of building trust. The characters are portrayed with realism and depth, making their journey feel true to life. This part strikes a balance between romance and drama, maintaining a gentle and mature tone that resonates with adults who understand that love is often complicated, fragile, a little scary. The narrative leaves readers wanting to know if Ethan and Grace can overcome their fears and find something lasting together. Setting up the final part for a hopeful yet honest resolution, the story returns to the coffee shop, Maple and Bean, a place that has become their anchor, a shared refuge where their relationship took root. This return symbolizes a full circle, from strangers sitting silently together to two people ready to face the world as a couple, still grounded in the simple, everyday moments that made their connection special. The atmosphere is warm and bright, contrasting with the previous scene's softer, more introspective tones. The change in light and mood mirrors the emotional shift, a movement from uncertainty and fear toward clarity and hope. Character, growth and emotional evolution. FAO. FAO, character, growth and emotional evolution. Parker Ethan's transformation is subtle but profound. He begins the story as a man wounded by heartbreak, hesitant to trust again. By part 4, he has started to open his heart, learning to balance memories of his past with the possibilities of a new relationship. When he speaks to Grace about what love means now, it reveals a new understanding. Love isn't about perfection or erasing the past, but about acceptance, patience, and growth. His honesty and openness about his fears and hopes show that he's ready to take a chance on love again. With all its imperfections, Ethan's willingness to be vulnerable and present in the moment highlights his emotional maturity. This readiness to embrace love despite his scars makes him deeply relatable and endearing. Grace also shows remarkable emotional growth. She moves from cautious guardedness to a gentle openness, allowing herself to hope and trust. The scene where she shares a personal story about her father demonstrates her willingness to be seen fully, not just as a romantic interest, but as a whole person with a past, responsibilities, and dreams. Her reflection on how love is less about fireworks and more about steady light captures the essence of their relationship, grounded, enduring, and quietly beautiful. It's a mature perspective that resonates with many adults who have learned that lasting love is often simple and steady rather than dramatic and intense. Themes of part for acceptance and patience. The story embraces the idea that love isn't instant or perfect, but requires understanding and time. Both characters learn to accept themselves and each other, flaws and all. Healing as a journey. Healing isn't a destination, but a process. Ethan and Grace's relationship doesn't erase their past pain, but coexists with it, growing stronger because of the honesty they share. Everyday love. The narrative emphasizes the beauty of everyday moments. Coffee together, quiet talks, shared glances, showing that romance lives in the small details. Hope and new beginnings. Despite uncertainty and fear, there is a clear sense of hope and possibility. The story ends on a note that is both realistic and optimistic. Symbolism. and narrative closer returning to the coffee shop is a powerful symbol. It's where Ethan and Grace first connected, and now it represents a stable foundation for their future. This grounding reminds the audience that true intimacy often grows from familiarity and shared experience. The gentle rain outside during their final conversation echoes the story's beginning, but now feels cleansing rather than gloomy. It symbolizes renewal and the washing away of old doubts. Ethan's smile and Grace's hand on his reflect a physical and emotional closeness that feels earned, not rushed. The absence of grand declarations or dramatic gestures makes the moment feel authentic and heartfelt. Emotional resolution and impact. The dialogue and interaction in this part reveal to people who have learned to trust each other and themselves. They acknowledge their fears but choose hope. This emotional honesty is what makes their story powerful and relatable. The subtle romantic tension, the softness of their connection, and the shared smiles create a warm, satisfying closure without forcing a happily ever after cliché. Instead, it honors the complexity of adult relationships. Messy, beautiful, sometimes uncertain, but worth pursuing. Why this ending works. The story begins in a small town just outside Seattle, capturing a moment in time filled with both quietness and anticipation. The setting is essential. It's late September when summer has almost passed and fall is beginning to show its colors. The golden leaves drifting down to the sidewalks. The coolness of the morning air and the soft light filtering through the clouds set a tone of gentle transition. This time of year naturally symbolizes change, endings, and new beginnings, which perfectly mirrors the emotional landscape of our main character, Ethan Parker. Ethan's introduction is subtle but telling. He is a 32-year-old man recently returned to his hometown after a difficult breakup. This detail is important because it shapes who he is at the story's start. Someone carrying emotional wounds, trying to find his footing again. We don't need explicit details about his heartbreak. It's just knowing he ended a 3-year relationship with Emily, his ex-girlfriend, is enough to understand the kind of loneliness he feels. Emily, as described, was ambitious and beautiful, but lacked the patience Ethan needed. That contrast helps readers relate to Ethan's pain. It wasn't a messy or dramatic split, but a quiet fading which can sometimes be even harder to move past. This sets Ethan up as a deeply sensitive and reflective character. He's not rushing into something new. Instead, he's trying to heal, which makes him more relatable and human. The choice of the coffee shop, Maple and Bean, as the meeting place is also very deliberate. Coffee shops are familiar, everyday places, comfortable and warm. They're places where strangers can become friends and where people often come for a moment of calm in their busy lives. This creates a cozy, inviting atmosphere, one that suggests the beginning of a meaningful connection without forcing it. When Ethan enters the shop and orders his black coffee, we see a man who likes things simple and straightforward. His choice of seat, a quiet corner, shows a desire for solitude, or perhaps caution about opening up to the world again. This makes the moment when Grace Bennett approaches even more poignant. Grace is introduced almost like a breath of fresh air with warm hazel eyes, a notebook under her arm, and a calm presence that immediately contrasts Ethan's solitude. She is someone with her own story and burdens, though we only get hints of that here. The fact that she asks if she can share his table is a gentle break in Ethan's routine and emotional walls. It's a simple gesture, but it carries the weight of unexpected connection. Their initial silence when they sit together is natural and believable. It's not forced. It's the kind of quiet two strangers might share while feeling out each other's presence. The small moment when Grace's pen runs out of ink and Ethan offers her one becomes symbolic, a subtle way to show the beginning of trust and kindness. It's a small bridge between their separate worlds. The way their conversation begins, gradually after this moment, suggests that both characters are tentative. They are not rushing into a relationship or even immediate friendship, but they are open to possibility. This openness is critical because it reflects how real relationships often start slowly. Awkwardly, but with curiosity and hope, the narrative hints at the deeper, emotional layers both characters carry but leaves most of it unspoken at this stage. This creates a soft hook for the reader or listener. There's a feeling that something meaningful is about to unfold. But it's not rushed or explained outright. The phrase at the end of this part, because sometimes the heart recognizes a stranger, before the mind catches up, beautifully sums up the theme of unexpected love and emotional awakening. This line encapsulates the vulnerability and magic of moments like this, when two people meet and feel a connection that they can't yet understand or name. It's a universal experience many people have felt, which makes the story resonate emotionally. Emotional themes. In part 1, longing and healing. Ethan's presence in the town and the cafe reflects his emotional need to heal. His broken past is silent but palpable, creating a sympathetic character that many can identify with. New beginnings. Grace's entry into Ethan's quiet world symbolizes a fresh start. The coffee shop is a neutral, safe space for new possibilities. Vulnerability and hope. Both characters are quietly vulnerable. Grace's polite request to share the table, Ethan's willingness to let her join him, and the shared silence all suggest a gentle openness to connection. The power of small moments. The exchange of the pen and the gradual start of conversation highlight how the smallest gestures can begin a deeper bond. Character insights. Ethan Parker, a man in his early 30s, thoughtful and cautious recently, returned home to heal from heartbreak. He embodies emotional depth without bitterness, showing a quiet kind of resilience. Grace Bennett, slightly younger, creative, caring for family, and also healing from past emotional wounds. She brings warmth and light to Ethan's solitary world, but is not rushing toward romance. Their characters feel real because they have layers, hopes, and fears, strength and fragility, without needing dramatic backstories or exaggerated emotions. Why this part matters. This opening sets the tone for the entire story. It's a gentle invitation into the lives of two people who are both fragile and hopeful. It shows us how love often begins in unexpected places through everyday interactions, and how healing from the past is not a race but a process. The reader is left wanting to know more. Who is Grace really? How will Ethan's heart respond to this new light? Can two people who have been hurt find comfort in each other? The tension is soft but present. The promise of romance, the caution of heartbreak, and the beautiful uncertainty of what's to come. Part 2 picks up where Part 1 left off, in the quiet, cozy world of the coffee shop. The tone remains gentle and intimate, but now the story deepens. The connection between Ethan and Grace. This section is all about the slow unfolding of attraction, the subtle building of trust, and the emotional walls that both characters carry. From their pasts, setting, and atmosphere, the coffee shop remains the central place where Ethan and Grace meet. It's not just a physical location, but a symbol of their growing bond, a shared space that becomes familiar, safe, and meaningful. The passage of time from late September into the rainy days of early fall reinforces the mood of slow transformation. The rain adds a layer of quiet introspection, a backdrop often associated with emotional reflection and vulnerability. Character growth and emotional depth. Grace Bennett. Grace is revealed to be a freelance writer who has returned to her hometown not for adventure but out of necessity to care for her father after a stroke. This detail adds weight to her character. She's responsible, grounded, and burdened with real-life challenges. She's not a romantic ideal or a carefree spirit. She's relatable and mature. Her previous relationship is described as having burned out quietly without drama, just emotional distance. This paints Grace as someone who has experienced heartbreak differently from Ethan, more subdued, less explosive, but no less painful. She's not looking for love right now, and that makes her eventual connection with Ethan feel more genuine. She's not desperate or searching. She's simply open to whatever life brings. Ethan's character continues to show layers of sensitivity and emotional complexity. We understand that his breakup with Emily left a deep mark. His slow and cautious nature is contrasted with the quiet courage it takes for him to open up to Grace. The way he reacts to Grace, intrigued, gentle, honest, makes him someone readers can root for. His feelings don't erupt suddenly. They simmer under the surface, revealing a man learning to trust his heart again. Their growing connection, the narrative in this part, revolves around shared moments, the kinds of conversations that happen when two people begin to lower their defenses. They start talking more openly at the coffee shop, swapping book recommendations and stories about their past. These details aren't just filler. They serve to build intimacy and create a sense of companionship. The way they bond over simple, everyday things is crucial. It shows that their relationship is not based on instant passion or grand gestures, but on the quiet understanding that often forms the strongest foundations. The important scene, the rainy afternoon, one rainy afternoon, becomes a key emotional moment. Ethan catches himself looking at Grace, and she calls him out on it with a playful question. "Where are your eyes looking, Mr. Parker?" This line is a turning point. It's lighthearted but charged with meaning. Grace is teasing, but she's also challenging Ethan to be honest about his feelings. Ethan's response, "You're more beautiful than my ex-girlfriend." It's both a compliment and a confession. Why Ethan's response matters. Ethan's reply is raw and unpolished. It's not a rehearsed pickup line, but a spontaneous truth. This moment is significant because it reveals that Ethan's attraction to Grace is real and immediate. But it also carries the weight of his past by comparing Grace to his ex-girlfriend. Ethan is acknowledging that he's still in the process of moving on. He's honest about the past, which makes his feelings for Grace feel authentic rather than dismissive. This confession creates a complex emotional space. It's romantic because it expresses admiration, but it's also dramatic because it shows vulnerability. Ethan is admitting to Grace that he's not fully healed, but that she is making him feel something new and hopeful. Grace's reaction,